Well, good morning. It's Wednesday morning, and today we read about the betrayal of Jesus as he comes closer to the crucifixion. Someone betrays him, and the text we're going to read is actually from the Last Supper, from John 13:21 to 30. After saying these things, Jesus was troubled in his spirit and testified, "Truly, truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he spoke. One of his disciples, whom Jesus loved, was reclining at table at Jesus' side. So Simon Peter motioned him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So that disciple, leaning back against Jesus, said to him, "Lord, who is it?" And Jesus answered, "It is he to whom I will give this morsel of bread when I've dipped it." So when he had dipped the morsel, he gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. Then after he had taken the morsel, Satan entered into him. Jesus said to him, "What you are going to do, do quickly." Now no one at the table knew why he said this to him. Some thought that because Judas had the money bag, Jesus was telling him, "Buy what we need for the feast," or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the morsel of bread, he immediately went out, and it was night. So Judas betrays Jesus. Now, Judas, we assume, had already gone to the priests and, made the deal. He betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, which he famously then returns to them before, when he sees Jesus arrested and taken to be crucified. And Judas runs back and says, "No, I changed my mind." And they say, "Too late." And he throws the money and can't keep the money. Well, they can't keep the money either because it's been used for this criminal purpose. So they take it and they buy a field to bury the poor, and that's where they bury Judas. So the circle comes around. And I think the way that they ate in the ancient world, they would have had like a pot in the middle of the table of some sort of stew or something, and they would have dipped bread into it and eaten it, So it's kind of like fondue or something. You dip the bread and get the good stuff on it. So for Jesus to say, "Well, I'll give this morsel to the one," it wasn't like he dipped it and then said, "You," they're just all doing it, and you might not even have seen him hand it to Judas, or you might have thought that, well, it could have been anybody, the way that they shared the food. So he didn't really identify Judas clearly and publicly, and Judas, of course, gets up and leaves, and goes and comes back later to the garden with all the Roman soldiers and the chief priests, and they arrest Jesus. So, but how could you betray somebody who's been such a close friend and teacher who you've followed for several years? Betrayal is a pretty it's a pretty bad thing. Whenever we watch TV shows or movies or something, there's a lot of betrayal that goes on. That's what drives the plot, you see. Or in our lives, sometimes people do things and you think, "How could you do that? I was your friend." But people get tempted by various things, and sometimes they don't even think; they just react. But betrayal is an issue, I guess. Let's say, and to betray somebody means that you act in your own interest instead of theirs. You see, you don't act in Jesus' interest, you act in your interest. You want some money, so you betray Jesus. And I would say we betray the gospel all the time because we live our lives in relative comfort, and we think, well, other people should should meet some sort of standard before we help them, for instance. And most people, to come and ask for help at all is a huge, huge thing. And for them to then turn around and meet some sort of arbitrary middle-class standard, it's kind of ridiculous, frankly. It's ridiculous. But it's a betrayal of what Jesus does and says to us, because Jesus says, love the others, love one another. And if we can't love one another, then how can we love him? That's the question. So watch for the temptations to betray. Watch your TV Hallmark movies for instances of betrayal. Look for that to happen around you, because I think it happens a lot, and we've become kind of we don't think of it that much. We're what's the word? We are sort of vaccinated against seeing much betrayal around us because of the society in which we live. But there is a lot of betrayal, so let's watch for that today. I want you to have a good day. Tomorrow is Maundy Thursday, and we will see you then.